never happened because I followed John Cena since I was a youngster. And when I was watching him as a heel, I'm like, I'm not buying this. I'm really not buying this. It felt real forced. It's like, this isn't really him. And I just hope this doesn't last for a while. But then on Friday Night SmackDown, when he turned babyface, I'm like, thank God.
I love that. So, I mean, is there a part of you that thinks at least we know what that looks like? Or I don't know, like, are you happy at all?
Yeah.
I think we lost. Okay. Yeah, part of you thinks so?
Yes. And I do have a quick kind of suggestion because you talk about Chris Jericho and Drake from LA. Shout out Drake and Trash. You hear Chris Jericho's music. He's drinking a prime. He's walking up to the ring, and he's like, I think it's time for you to pick on somebody your own size. He takes a swig and spits it right in his face.
All right. Thank you so much for the suggestion. Robin, any thoughts on that?
I mean, I keep going back. Every time you bring up the heel turn, I almost get mad.
Love him or hate him, he is a star. I mean, John. By the time we hit Clash in Paris, Logan Paul would be in the ring with three of the biggest names in pro wrestling: Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns, John Cena. Think about it; those are three of the biggest names in pro wrestling. So I am looking forward to that match. But there's a certain beast incarnate that John Cena has to watch out for. I don't know if you guys saw the ending of SmackDown. Nick Foley was talking to Cena and say, hey, I don't want to bother you. I'm sorry to bother you, but I just got a call from Brock Lesnar. And then Logan Paul with a right hand and with a cheap shot. So Denise, Robin, will Brock Lesnar be in Paris next Sunday? Thanks for the call.
Thank you so much, Joe. So Brock Lesnar was mentioned briefly during that segment that Joe just mentioned at the end where Logan Paul interrupted what Nick Aldis was going to say and attacked John Cena, laying him out there in that little parking lot area, wherever they were backstage. Okay, so Brock, we haven't heard too much about Brock since SummerSlam and all of that, right? The only thing is that they did announce him for 2 SmackDown dates in late September, I believe. I don't have the dates in front of me. I think one of them was 21st or something like that. I forget the other date, but he was announced for 2 dates in SmackDown in September. And since then, there really hasn't been much mention. Like, this is the most mention in regards to the storyline, because the other thing that they mentioned was like commentary talking about when they decided to bring back Brock Lesnar. That was mentioned on the Raw after SmackDown. But in regards to the actual storyline with John Cena and Brock, this has been the biggest mention of that. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, look, we need the Brock return after what happened at SummerSlam, and that would be an impact. Anytime Brock Lesnar is going to make an appearance, it's going to feel like a big deal, and I could see it now that I think about it. What if he cost John Cena against Logan Paul? I mean,
oh God, and he has a win. By the way, really quickly, Brock is advertised for September 12th and September 19th.
But that's coming up pretty soon, right? I mean, when is Clash in Paris? It's
the 31st.
The 31st. So that puts Brock on track for it's not the SummerSlam. I mean, it's not the SmackDown right after. So if it were the SmackDown right after, I may even say he's for sure showing up in Clash in Paris. But I wouldn't rule it out. They're not bringing him back to not have him make an impact, right? I mean, so I think we are seeing Brock sooner rather than later, and obviously we know it's going to be directly correlated.
I do believe it. I do believe it should have. It was something I've been wanting for a long time. Ever since he debuted, like I always thought, well, his Doctor of Thugonomics heel run was better, definitely. But my question is, do you think it would have been better pulled off the Vince, but the heel turn?
That is a great question. Thank you so much, John. So that's one where I have to think about this, right? Because, you know, obviously throughout the years, there have been so many storylines that were, you know, booked by Vince McMahon. And they were great. There was a lot of great ones. And of course, there was a lot of bad ones. There was a really, really mixed bag, of course. Now, in Vince McMahon's last year or so that he was booking, it wasn't the best. There were some things that were enjoyable, but there were some things that were not. And I think maybe the things that were not were a little bit more so. So it's really hard to say, right? Because if it was a couple of years ago, yes. But then recent Vince McMahon at the age that he was at now, I don't know. It's really hard to say. I think that maybe, Robin, if it would have been Vince, there would have a, hey, man, so what's going on here? I don't know. Maybe the answer is yes. I don't know.
No, Vince McMahon would have been in charge. I mean, we had a caller before say, it was the worst thing Triple H has done. Triple H really do it? I mean, I know, they take credit for the good or whatever, but it definitely feels as if there was a whole Rock lever in case of emergency that happened. The Rock and company, and when I say company, I'm talking like TKO, kind of parachute in and orchestrate this without actually thinking out like where it goes. And I still, there's like an inkling of the benefit of the doubt where you want to hope that someday we get some sort of final boss redemption for all this. But it certainly feels like it was one of these corporate decisions that happened to get The Rock involved, to get Travis Scott involved, and it wasn't actually done within the realm of the normal day-to-day business. I feel like if Vince McMahon was the one doing this, it would be Vince's call, and Vince is calling the shots from that point forward, where this felt like there were a lot of hands in the cookie jar and a lot of chefs in the kitchen.
I was about to say too many cooks in the kitchen. That's exactly kind of where we, based off of what we saw, because again, go back to WWE Unreal, when Triple H walked us through the process, right? And it was, hey, I had this idea, I spoke about it with this person, then this person spoke about it with that person, and then those people started talking about it with these people. And so, yeah, at that point, it's a shit ton of cooks in the kitchen. So I don't know. Again, it's a really hard one. It sucks because here's the thing. When Triple H took over creative, I'm a Triple H fan, and I know it's funny because I've gotten shit for like a bunch of times because there are so many people that are like, I hate Triple H, and Triple H stinks. I grew up a Triple H fan. Like, I was the person that was opposite of the people that hated Triple H when he had his reign of terror and all of that, right? I was on the other side of it. I was a kid, all right? Whatever. But I've always been a Triple H fan, and I really like what he has done, what he did with NXT, all of that, right? So when he took over creative, I had a lot of high hopes for what we might get. I thought, okay, someone that's younger, more fresh-minded. What is this going to look like? And I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, it's been a shit show, it's been a disaster, but there have been some things and even some recent storylines where I'm going, whatever happened to that? And why there wasn't any fallout with this? And what could have happened with that? And why wasn't this better? Where I don't know if maybe we had more higher hopes for Triple H's booking, or like a lot of people are saying online that maybe he kind of got a little bankrupt in the creative process side of things. I don't know. What do you feel about Logan Paul and John Cena's feud and what you saw last night on SmackDown?
To be honest with you, I didn't even realize how many times they've interacted this year from the chamber match, and then they tagged up together. Logan Paul has been actually taking up a lot of John's time.
He has. That's what I was mentioning earlier, where it didn't feel like, it felt weird when they were side by side. Now that they're opposite of each other, it feels a lot better.
But, when it comes down to the heel turn with John, I think the consensus was if it was a couple of years ago, we would have all been on board with it, and we would have known it might have some actual legs to it. So, I just hope that they're bangers, and I hope that it's the best that, that he's able to do physically, and, the best thing for the audience as well, because we want to cheer him. But, guys, thanks for the time this morning.
Thank you.
It happened, because I do say this about the John Cena run. And I've said this before, but I think it's always worth repeating. He didn't have to do this. John Cena had gotten beyond WWE in his WWE career. He's a Hollywood star. I mean, Logan Paul referenced it in getting naked at the Oscars, but most people aren't in a position to be on stage at the Oscars, to be part of such a significant bit on that show which is the sort of celebration of Hollywood. And John Cena, it is worth appreciating. You know, you could say, oh, it's only so many dates or whatever. It is a lot of dates for somebody at his age, at his stature, with his schedule to come back and do this. So I want to grade it on a curve in that sense, because it is a sort of like love letter to his career and the fans, and it should be appreciated in that regard, because John Cena did not have to do what he's doing right now.
You know what? I think if it would have been executed a little bit more differently, I think it would have been the greatest heel turn next to Hogan. I just think where it kind of went south was with The Rock not staying and kind of fulfilling more of what was teased, and with John turning heel. And I don't know why Travis Scott was involved. I think that was just kind of a waste. That made no sense. His appearance also without The Rock was kind of like, it was confusing.
Man, when you said Travis Scott, I was like, oh yeah, huh? He was part of that. Isn't it crazy that one of the, regardless of how everything turned out, if you're only talking about a single moment in time, and that single moment in time where they attacked Cody and, turned on him, and John Cena turned heel, Elimination Chamber, that whole moment in time, forever and always, is going to be iconic. Forever and always. And Travis Scott was part of it. That's crazy.
But in conjunction with The Rock, it's different than when it's just Travis Scott.
Oh, Vince, are you there?
Hello?
Yeah. Hey, Vince, we got you on the air. What do you think about should John Cena's heel turn should it have happened?
I think we got that opportunity about 25 years ago. This one was just forced and pushed, and it sounded like it was meant to sell more tickets at WrestleMania.
No, man. I mean, it just didn't feel like it was what people expected. Do you think that it would have? Do you think that maybe John Cena was just because of who he is and because
Couple of things. First of all, on the heel turn, everybody has to have their shockmaster moment. This is Triple H. Everybody wants to put it on somebody else, but that's the hill that Triple H should have died on. Yeah, I understand Rock's on the board, blah, blah, blah. TKO, yada, yada, yada. But in the end, he's head of creative. He should have looked him in the eye and said, no. No. Because Triple H knows better. He just decided he's saving his fight for something else. That's number one. Number two, as far as Paris and Logan Paul, you don't need Brock Lesnar. You only need Brock Lesnar's music. Then you can just go to a live feed after that cost him the match, cost Cena the match, and Brock can say, wait till you get me in person. Looking forward to seeing you. That sort of thing. So those are my two takes on all that.
Thank you so much for calling in and sharing that.
Thing was, at least we got to see Punk match, and then we got to see Orton match. So it wasn't great, no, by all means, but I'm glad it happened. So at least we got to see. Now we got back to Cena being Cena again. So yeah, I'm okay with it, but it could have been better.
Thank you so much for sharing your insight on that. I like your attitude on it. I really do, because it's like, this is all in hindsight, right? In hindsight, shit is always different, right? In any situation, we always look at it like, oh, well, in hindsight, I don't know about that. That was terrible. What were we thinking, right? But when you're in the moment and when it's happening, like when Robin, I will never forget sitting in that room at the Elimination Chamber press conference and being like, holy shit, we're on something now. I even made a meme about this is so stupid, but I made a meme, Robin, about Triple H. And you watch Mean Girls, obviously. Do you remember when Regina George pulls up in the car and she goes to Katie and she says, get in losers, we're going shopping. I remember like putting that and putting Triple H's face and putting like, get in losers, we're going to WrestleMania. Because I thought like, oh, this shit's about to be fire. And I feel so stupid now having published that meme.
There you go.